I've always known I would marry Rich. Why should I be ashamed of that?
There's nothing to be ashamed of, as long as you love him.
Well, I believe we have some power over who we love. It isn't something that just happens to a person.
I think the poets might disagree.
Well, I'm not a poet. I'm just a woman. And as a woman, there's no way for me to make my own money. Not enough to earn a living or to support my family. And if I had my own money, which I don't, that money would belong to my husband the moment we got married. And if we had children, they would be his, not mine. They would be his property. So don't sit there and tell me that marriage isn't an economic proposition, because it is. It may not be for you, but it most certainly is for me.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Film Bros Podcast. My name is Isaiah Lucas, and I am joined by my co-hosts.
Abraham.
And Nick.
How you guys doing tonight?
I'm all right.
Doing all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy day?
Long day.
Long day.
Long day.
All right.
Yeah.
What about you, Isaiah?
I had a long day, too. Mine was busy, so things going at breakneck speed, and then I had to do some overtime, too.
Yeah.
So
Overtime's always nice.
yeah, but you know what they say, you got to get your money up to get your funny up.
I can't believe that.
Yeah, it was a fine day. I'm excited to talk about this movie, though, and maybe have my perspective changed.
Hopefully. I'm really excited to hear about the book, if you remember anything about it.
It's been like a year and a half since I read it. And I kind of stole the book, to be honest. And one of our friends actually has it now. Emily has it. And she's reading it because she wanted to read it.
Okay.
But from what I remember is I thought the book was a lot different from the movie.
Okay. Off the cuff, right now, you have to answer book or movie, which is better?
Movie, in my opinion.
Movie?
Because because I don't want to read.
Oh, it's easier to sit down for 2 hours than it is to read, like...
Yes.
For a week.
Like yeah. 10-hour book, however long it takes you.
Yeah.
I've been reading. I read one book in like 2 months, which is the most recent one that I just read.
Okay.
So,
But as far as content...
the book
Book
is more detailed.
Yeah, the book probably goes into much more detail than a 2-hour film could.
You're right. I was curious. I didn't know if there was anything like majorly different or if
No,
like
not so different. A lot of people think the age is a big difference, but I mean, they do it off of different movies, and
right.
so.
Well, what are we even talking about here?
Yeah.
We're talking about the movie Little Women. It came out in 2019. It was written and directed by Greta Gerwig, and it is adapted from a novel by Louisa May Alcott.
Yes.
Alcott.
Nice.
I want to say actually.
Alcott.
Yeah, I went and checked this out in theaters when it came out.
Yes,
Because Alexa had really wanted to watch it. And then I was also excited, too, because Greta Gerwig's attached to it.
Right. This is my second movie from Greta Gerwig.
Okay.
First one being...
Lady Bird.
Yeah, Lady Bird.
For the ones that she's directed, at least. Have you
Yes.
watched any she's been acted in?
I have not. Actually, let me check while you talk.
Greta Gerwig. I'm trying to feel like.
Because I've
wasn't there
watched...
some controversy with her.
Not that I know of.
Who do I think there was controversy with? Okay.
I'm not sure. I caught wind of Greta Gerwig, though, I think because of Lady Bird, and then I dived into the rabbit hole and realized that she's also an actor in certain films. She's a writer, and dove into directing with Lady Bird as well as writing her own story as well. And I'm honest, she's going to be directing a Barbie movie that's coming out in 2023.
Isn't that the one with Ryan Gosling?
Yeah.
Oh.
And I don't want to watch
Margot
it.
Robbie.
Wow.
And I'm curious about it, actually.
I've seen the pictures of him, and he's like all
he's
shredded.
Supposed to be Ken.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I might go watch it.
Ryan Gosling, we know how great of an actor he is.
That's why I
so.
don't want to watch it.
You don't want to see him differently, or what?
No, I just think that's just gonna taint him, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, that's Barbie, that's Barbie, that's Barbie."
No, they're
it's range.
Ryan Gosling is such a household name.
It's true.
Like anyone is going to be able to look at him and be like, that's Ryan Gosling, not, oh, that's Ken from Barbie.
No. He's got range. I mean, he
Yeah.
goes from Blade Runner 2049 to Barbie
To La La Land.
to La La Land to
A
Drive.
Place Beyond the Pines. Like he's got some
I don't know.
films in his catalog for
to
sure.
Gray Man, which I don't ever want to talk about.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I have to say I am excited to check it out. I know that's her next project that she's coming up with, and she does a lot of work with Noah Baumbach, which I believe
Yeah.
I think they're partners if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yeah, same guy who did Marriage Story.
Yeah.
At least the writer, right?
Yeah, and he also did a movie I had watched called Frances Ha,
Yes.
and Greta Gerwig acts in that.
Okay, yeah, I
And,
see as 2012 it came out. I
Yeah.
didn't know she was in that one.
Yeah, and I watched that one. I enjoyed that one too. I thought that was a pretty
Oh,
fun watch.
Nice.
But yeah, if you are curious about any of Greta Gerwig's work, I would suggest you check it out. She definitely has something worth saying. Lady Bird is an awesome movie. I've rewatched that movie so much. And I'm excited to dive into what she has to say about Little Women.
Mm-hmm.
So is there anywhere you could stream this movie?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
You can't. So you have to rent it. I have the luxury of owning it, so it was. I was super thankful for that.
Me too.
This
I
one-
borrowed it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Alexa, I think I'd mentioned last episode that Alexa bought this on my Apple TV. So I had it right there in my library. And
Yeah.
just turned
Alright.
it on. And this is one, it's rated PG, right?
PG-13?
PG-13.
I thought it was just PG.
There's nothing very.
There's nothing bad about
No.
I think the only thing is like there's like smoking.
it. PG, yeah.
Yeah, it should be PG. I
Like,
mean, this is like this
It's
is
very tame.
yeah. It's kind of like a coming of age story
Yeah.
with these women. So
Yeah.
I would expect nothing less.
Okay.
This is our second watch, huh? All of us. Or how many
Yeah.
times have you seen it? I feel like
This
you
is
talk
my
about it.
second.
Look at this. He talks about this movie
I love it.
so often. I feel like you've seen it at least 10 times.
I want to say at least 5
5 times.
or 6, yeah.
Okay. But you've never experienced any of the other ones?
No.
Okay.
Mhm.
2019. Huh?
Yeah, I will say rewatching this one, I had my premonitions about this film from previous experience that I just wasn't like a huge fan. Like everyone was ranting and raving about it, and I was just kind of like, it was okay. Like I don't have anything that is, it's blowing my mind about. So when I went in with the distinct mindset to have my mind changed. And I was like, I need to like watch this as objectively as possible. Like it's the first time I've seen it, and like really take in everything that the movie has to offer.
Right.
And experience it that way rather than being like, oh, I don't want to watch this. Because then I'm just going to go in with this preconceived notion of not liking it and then hate watch it,
Yeah.
So I went in with that mindset, and I did actually find myself writing a lot
Really?
in regards to like bro moments and my certain favorite scenes that I have and best quotes and stuff like that and everything. And I have to say, after watching this version a second time, it does make me want to go check out the 1994 version. That one has like Winona Ryder, Kirsten Dunst, Christian Bale
Mhm.
plays Laurie. Like there's a couple of the big names that are attached there. The dad from Hereditary.
Oh, I don't remember
Gabriel
his name.
Bren, I think his
That's
name
his-
is
okay.
Gabriel Bren.
He's in that?
Yeah, he plays Frederick.
Frederick? Really?
Yeah,
The love interest of Joe?
yeah.
What?
Like there's a couple pretty heavy names in the 94 version, and I was reading a lot on certain IMDb reviews that people who really, really love the book love the 94 version. So I think I'd be interested to see like what's the better of the two. They're pretty high in rating as well.
Right.
They're pretty close to one another. I think the 2019 version beats it, the 94 version out just a little bit. But yeah. I think with that being said, are you guys gonna check out the 94 version? Or are you gonna stay here in 2019?
I'm staying.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm staying.
Um,
I don't know if I should.
I have no history with this. Literally, look at this. The only history I ever have of this, I mean, I want to call it like it's been a story for 150 years.
Yeah.
Like it's been around forever.
For a long time.
And the first time I ever heard about Little Women was in the show Friends.
oh,
When
okay.
Joey he gets really invested in reading Little Women, and he at first he goes, how little are these women? And as the first and only time I've ever heard of Little Women until going to watch this movie. And I just don't really care. There's plenty of things that were great here. But yeah, it's just, I mean, maybe I might, but I have no plans to do that.
Okay. I guess I won't say I have any like definitive plans to go watch the 94 version, but it does make me curious to see how they compare and what might be different.
Christian
and
Bale,
stuff like
that might be interesting to see him because it's pre-Batman era, huh?
Yep.
That'd be weird.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Yep. Well, this movie's going to contain, or this review, I should say, is going to contain some spoilers. So if you haven't checked this movie out, go do so before heading in. If you don't care about spoilers or anything like that, then continue listening and listen to what we have to say about this. As always, you want to start us off with your first favorite scene?
Of course I do. My first favorite scene is actually the beginning. Of course.
Yeah.
It just throws me off. When I first watched it, based on my experience, it threw me off for.
Explain to me. I kind of am forgetting the introduction. Isn't that when she is like already heading back?
Yes.
No, she's in New York.
She's in
She's
New
trying
York.
to sell stories to a publisher.
Oh, right. And she goes to that guy and she's like, "This is from my friend."
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I like this scene too.
I thought it was the book that she was writing, that it was about. That's what I thought, and that's why it threw me out for a loop. Because I didn't know this. So this movie jumps quite often.
Yeah, it's non-linear.
Non-linear. And
Past, present, future.
a lot of
Well,
past,
no
present.
future, but past, present.
Yeah.
A lot of past, present. And it just, I love it because you could tell she's the writer, one, and obviously she doesn't want him to know that she's the writer, and it's like this sort of like anxiety, but it's like a good anxiety,
Right.
because you want something good out of it, but you don't want to be so torn about it, especially with something like big like this.
Right.
And I like it because you kind of see her personality already showing, how she is, and how she is going to be for the rest of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like it because it brings, like, again, the anxiety, the form of anxiety she had is not like bad because you're just anticipating, and it was just like I saw it and it was like a rush.
Right. And it's I like it because it establishes very quickly the atmosphere around, like the political atmosphere pretty much of how women were pretty much, I mean, this is around the Civil War. I
It
think
was
it's
right after.
right after the Civil War, so people were in hard times, and women have never really been all that looked upon, especially in that time.
Mhm.
So her going and not presenting herself as the writer, and hearing the guy saying, "Okay, if you're gonna write these stories, the women at the end either has to get married or she has to die." Like there's no in between because that's the only thing that sells.
Yeah.
And it just is kind of establishing the society at the time and what they deemed like necessary for a novel to be successful.
Yeah.
Which I really like, and I like how that also kind of ties into the very end,
Yeah.
where she's kind of forced to, and we kind of see that hesitation in her to do it, but then when we get to the end, we'll talk about it, but she ends up, following one of those tropes that she doesn't want to. But the intro, I think, succeeds at establishing where we are in this society and who we're following. I mean, she's literally like, "Oh, I didn't write these," and then the camera pans to her hands, and she has ink all over her fingers.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, okay, they're doing these subtle things to show us this is obviously the writer, and she's just trying to make dude. And I think it's really wholesome too, because she's not only having money for herself, but she's
doing it to help feed her family.
Yeah.
Right. And I think we get that scene when she talks to, she's like living in a board house.
Yeah.
And she talks to Frederick or one of the ladies, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm the one who supports my family. I got to do this. This is what the money's for."
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I don't know, it's a good way to establish where we are now, and then whenever it jumps back, we get to see where she came from.
Yeah.
Which I really enjoyed.
Mm.
I have a next one. Do you have any other ones?
Yeah. My first favorite scene is whenever Joe and Laurie are dancing.
Me too. That's my first favorite one.
That's my next one.
Yeah.
It's so wholesome, isn't it?
Yeah, and
Mine's the whole, yeah.
I enjoy it because this is obviously a flashback.
Yes.
At this point, and one of the things that I enjoyed about the film, whenever they decide to show flashbacks, is like the flashbacks are shown with like a big sense of nostalgia, and like they're much warmer than the present that's shown throughout the film. The present's very like cold and dark and very drab looking.
Mm-hmm.
But when we look in the past, we always look on the past with fond colors through like rose-tinted glasses.
Yeah.
And it's very warm and lush and bright, and everyone's always laughing and having fun and all this stuff and everything. And it's like, it's interesting that they decide to kind of like play into these tropes to show the past, because that's usually how everybody looks back on.
Right. It's an easy way for the audience to be like, oh, this is this is in the past. This is obviously not where we're at now presently with these characters.
Yeah. But there's a scene where Joe and Meg get invited to like a party, I'm assuming. And Joe goes hesitantly while Meg is going to meet.
She's like trying to find a suitor.
Yeah, she's trying to like meet boys. She's trying to hone her dancing skills and all this stuff, and like, hone her social skills and whatnot. And she's also trying to get Joe to like break out of her shell and recognize that, if you're ever going to meet somebody, you need to go out and you need to meet someone. You can't just you can't meet anybody staying at home and writing stories. So she brings her out, and Joe is kind of just sitting off to the side, not doing anything, and then eventually wanders around the house and finds Laurie, who is also sitting in the room by himself, not doing anything.
2 wallflowers.
Yeah, and they get introduced to one another, and they're like, why aren't you out there dancing? And then Joe says something like, don't laugh at me, but like my dress got burned.
So I can't.
So like
she
she told me I need to stay still, or else if I moved, everyone will see, and all this stuff. And then Laurie is like, well, like you should be dancing. I think there's a way that we can get around that.
Yeah.
And so it just shows how like gentlemanly Laurie is, but also like how much he already cares.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's already willing to be like, you should be out there dancing. Let's pull out all of the stops. And like, we're still going to dance, but we're going to do it under a different, veil than what you thought it would be.
A way that's comfortable for her.
Yeah. So we're not going to go out there and do it in front of everybody. We're going to dance on the porch outside the house. And, while everyone else is in there socializing and stuff and everything, let's just have this moment between us and dance. And like, when we get into the windows, like stop and act like we're not doing anything. And then as we pass the windows, dance again and all this stuff, and have this cute little moment with one another. I thought it was really cute.
Yeah, it's a good way to start their relationship, because it automatically gets you to think, okay, this is who she's gonna be with. This is like this is gonna be her love.
Yeah.
From
the jump.
From the jump. I mean, how could it not be? He's literally fallen head over heels for her right when he saw her. Yeah. He's pulling out all the stops to do all this, and it seems like they really get along here. And I think this is the starting well, I guess for the audience, if you haven't read the book, at least for me, I was like, oh, okay, this is who she's going to end with, hopefully, at the end, right? Maybe there'll be trials throughout the way, but this is the guy. Yeah. And they really want you to believe that, because if you don't know anything about any context, at the very end, it's going to be like, what do you mean? Yeah. But yeah, this whole scene, I think, was just super cute for them, like, to get past the window and just go, and go all like crazy and have a good time together. Yeah. I loved it. Yeah. I also enjoy too whenever Laurie walks Meg and Joe back to their house. Mm-hmm. Laurie kind of gets invited in and sees that she has all these sisters, and he kind of just sees all their chaos within the March home and all their camaraderie, and him being like an only child makes him like it makes him want it. And this, they place certain camera shots on Laurie to kind of like make you think that this is like, man, I want this. This is something that I want for my life. I didn't get to have it, so I would love to be able to, provide that for somebody. Or like, I want to be a part of the family. Yeah. Like Marmee, when they get there, he he's real gentleman-like, doesn't come in until she allows him. Yeah. And she's like, oh, don't mind the mess, because we don't. Yeah. And it's just like a absolutely chaotic family that, I feel like him growing up would be in complete silence. Yeah. And then here it's just like, you can't get people to shut up.
Yeah. Well, and it's immediately the home is immediately open with loving arms.
Yes.
And he doesn't have to call her Mrs. March. She's like, call me Marmy. Like everyone else calls me Mom or Marmy. You call me that. Like I don't want you to call me Miss March or anything like that. Come in, give me your coat. You want something to eat? You want something to drink? Make yourself comfortable. Like you're welcome here.
I think she get him a scone too.
Yeah.
And he's just like,
yeah.
he's like, okay.
Yeah, and it's this longing that Laurie has to be a part of something like this because it's not something that he normally gets, which I liked.
Yeah. I don't have anything until pretty farther down.
My next favorite scene is when he is getting introduced to do the, I don't know, would you call it like their book club with all the girls?
Oh, yeah. Like they have their like gentlemen's club that they pretend to be gentlemen sitting around smoking their pipes and and all that stuff. And
Yes, yeah.
And Joe, is it Joe?
Joe is the one that's like, I petitioned to add someone new to the group. And some of them were like, oh, who? Like, super exciting. And he says,
she says, Laurie. And they're like,
she says Laurie. I don't know his last name. I forget.
Well, his last name is Lawrence. His full name is Theodore Lawrence.
Yeah.
She calls him Teddy.
Yes. Okay.
Everybody else calls him Laurie.
Yeah.
So she says his full name, and then immediately their moods just like, what? No, he's a guy. Like, and it's just so funny because they were just so happy and click of an instant they say a boy, and it's no, and then they finally agree. And he comes out, and you see Joe just bright up, and I loved it. And again, you're rooting for it because you've seen Laurie and Joe connect all this time, and you see how much love they have for each other. At least we think. And I just love it because he's just so bright.
Yeah. He fits right in, honestly. Like, he comes out and he's all this crotchety old man.
Yeah.
And it gives us also a little bit of the backstory of how that box and those keys came to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because all the while she's, in present time, Joe is coming home to a sick Beth. That's the reason why she's coming back to, I don't even know where they're at.
They're in Massachusetts.
Massachusetts, okay.
But she's away in New York.
Yes, so she's coming back and she goes to the box and hands the key out. And then that's when we get the whole the memory of
her getting the key for the first time.
I built a box and these are the keys for all you guys. And
Yeah.
I guess they just leave their little
Notes.
Yeah.
notes back and forth. And
Yeah.
that kind of plays a big role into it too,
Yeah.
which I liked. My next one is when Anna's in London, or she's in
Amy's in France.
Amy's in
she's
France.
in Paris.
Yes.
Mine is also when she's in Paris.
Okay.
But it's her monologue about marriage.
Ooh, okay.
Do you like that one?
This is it's a little bit afterwards when Laurie tells her not to marry the fool.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so I really enjoy Amy's monologue about the financial propositions of marriage, and she kind of goes through like this like almost existential crisis where she was like, if I'm not going to be a great painter by 20, then I've basically pissed away my life. Like
She's like, I can't settle for just middling. I
Yeah.
have to be perfect or I'm not doing this at all.
yeah, and Laurie comes in and is kind of like, that's a ridiculous standard to kind of like set yourself to.
Well, not only that, he says, well, who sets the standards?
Yeah.
It's the men.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you're already not gonna be perfect.
Yeah.
Because you're never gonna live up to it because the men are the what does she call it, geniuses?
Yeah.
So
They're
she's
the
like,
ones
oh,
that determine what is genius.
right.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, that's a interesting topic to get my mind off of this, and it hurts my heart so bad because she's a freaking great painter, dude.
Yeah.
I see her stuff and I'm like,
Yeah.
I wish, and yet, I think she just sees the insane stress and insane
Yeah.
like creative artists that are there, and she just can't.
But one of the things I really enjoy about the scene is just Florence Pugh's performance.
Yeah.
She really nails the monologue here and really makes me root for her character. And I honestly I think I enjoy Florence Pugh in this movie more than any other character.
I have to
I
agree.
think she wins it for me at the end of the things. And whenever she's going on and she's giving this whole monologue about how marriage is a proposition for people to, make money and all this stuff and everything. I have the quote actually written down, and she starts it with saying, "Well, I believe we all have some power over who we love. It isn't something that just happens to a person." And then Lori responds back with, "I think the poets might disagree." And then she says, "Well, I'm not a poet. I'm just a woman. And as a woman, I have no way to make money, not enough to earn a living and support my family. Even if I had my own money, which I don't, it would belong to my husband the minute we were married. If we had children, they would belong to him, not me. They would be his property. So don't sit there and tell me that marriage isn't an economic proposition, because it is. It may not be for you, but it most certainly is for me."
Yeah. Very powerful.
Yeah. And she just commands the screen. And I enjoy every bit of that entire scene. And I that's something I could return to on YouTube and just watch her just command the screen, So
The whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's all saying this because Timothy Chalamet is kind of poking at her and her. What's that fool's name? I feel like
Fred.
everyone's name is Frederick or Fred.
His name's Fred Vaughn.
Fred Vaughn.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So she's going to,
She's going to marry Rich.
if he asked, she would say yes.
Yes.
And it's almost certain that he will, because they've been together and, having a relationship. And he's there, and we get the context of him being like, almost like a lost his way kind of drunkard, because Joe had denied him. Yeah. Really. And he's not recovered from it, basically.
Yeah.
And I think he's here and he's seeing her. And then even that whole scene where it's the scene where it's one of my favorite scenes where they're in the courtyard and he's like, "Okay, if you're not going to paint anymore, just paint one last one of me." So she's painting him as he's laying there, and he gets up and she walks, and then he's like, "Don't marry him." And she's like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Don't marry him. You know what I'm talking about." And then she tells him, like, no, you don't get to do this. Yeah. I don't get to be like your rebound, pretty much. Yeah. Like, even because I've loved you my entire life. Yeah. And she storms off, and I was like.
She's like, I've spent my whole life basically being like second to Joe.
Yeah. That's gotta be painful for her. Yeah. But I think he's finally starting to see her. Yeah. Because he's not under the shroud of Joe. Yeah. He's with her and he sees her, and I think he's fallen for her here. Yeah. And I think it was beautiful to see.
Yeah, definitely.
My next one is gonna be. I'm gonna go to my notes real quick. I'm a little behind.
Bad podcaster.
There's not much left, honestly.
Yeah. No, there's not that much left. My next one is when Timothy. Why am I saying Timothy? When Lori.
We know.
Says to marry Joe, proposes to Joe.
Oh, that's my last one. You don't have Beth getting the piano for Mr. Lawrence?
It's a nice scene.
Isn't that the scene you cried?
No.
Oh, it's not?
No.
That's this one scene where I had any sort of emotion, was when Beth receives the piano from Mr. Lawrence. And the entire time she's been at his house playing for him and all this stuff. Right. And then, she knits him some like slippers or something to like thank him for letting her play all the time. And then in response, he gets her own piano that gets delivered to the house. And one of the days, like, she goes to take over the slippers and then comes back, and all of a sudden there's this piano in the home, and all the girls are like trying to disguise it and hide it and all this stuff. And then they surprise her and they're like, "Mr. Lawrence came out and gave it to you. Like, this is so cool, right? You don't have to go over there and play anymore. You can play here in our own home." And Beth shows no emotion.
She can't even believe
no reaction, and just walks straight over to Mr. Lawrence and immediately gives him a hug. Right. And is like, "Thank you so much. Like, I can only express my gratitude in so many ways, but I just want you to say thank you." And them having that exchange and having that heartwarming gesture between one another, just, I don't know, it was very touching, and I really enjoyed just that gesture of Mr. Lawrence going out of his way to give Beth something that she really enjoys, but also to kind of thank her for how much joy he has brought her. He
even goes to describe her as looking as one of his daughters, or his. I think she's.
Yes.
Is she dead though?
Yes, she's dead.
Oh, okay.
Well, even Marmee says that. That's why they're lonely.
Yeah, his daughter passed away, and she used to play the piano.
Right.
So it's been empty and doesn't get played anymore because she's not around, but Beth does. So he invites her to come over. She'll play and all this
Livens
stuff.
up the
Yeah.
emptiness of that massive mansion, pretty much.
Mansion.
Yeah, that's for sure a scene that gets you in the feels.
Yeah.
But I wanted to talk about your scene, the marriage proposal when Joe
Yeah.
like
I have
denies
so
him.
much.
Yeah,
That's
that's
a pretty
my-
big scene.
Yeah, it's my last one.
Okay.
My goodness.
It's a
heartbreaker.
heartbreaker.
Heartbreaker! Dream!
Was that freaking Joan Jett?
Something, I
Yeah, I
forget.
know what you're talking about.
Cause when I saw this again, I was like, man, like you gotta love someone so much, like for being whatever Joe was telling Lori,
Mm-hmm.
all the stuff that she's telling him could be right. She's not gonna love him. She's not gonna. They not work. Blah blah blah. And he still stands there, like and listens and takes all that. I was like, holy cow! It's a lot. It's too much. I don't know how he did it.
Yeah, and I think one of the things about love is that it's a gamble. And you got to be willing to play your hand. So Lori shot his hand. It was a bad one.
Yep.
And I'll say I really like this scene just for Timothée Chalamet's performance alone. You can just
Mhm.
tell how distraught he is and how broken up he is, and he really like goes in and is just like, Joe, I love you. I've loved you since the moment we met. You know this. Like, I want to marry you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. And she keeps saying, no, like, this isn't going to work. This would never work. We would end up hating each other. We'd kill each other. And, yeah, it's insanely sad.
Mhm.
And it's one of those scenes I really enjoy, but also whenever we get presented with it in the film, or at least the way in which the order, or it, I should say, in the way the film is presented to us in the order it is, I don't know, like they show a lot of them like being really great friends and like being friendly with one another and always hanging out and, you know, doing things with one another. But I never get anything that shows that he loves her. Like the only reason I knew that he loved her is because he said, I love you, Joe, right then and there.
Oh, really? He kind of pays special attention to Joe.
Yeah,
like when
but
they go ice skating together.
But I don't know. It seemed to me like that was just friendly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
No. I never
Maybe
thought that.
No, I never thought that either.
Yeah.
I figured that he had
all
the
the
hots
time they
for
spent together was, to me, felt friendly.
Strictly platonic.
Strictly platonic.
No.
It just felt like there was no love
They were,
connection
like,
between them. Like,
holding heads, spinning in circles.
yeah, and it just felt like friends to me.
And so this is something that why I'm gonna bring it up as well. Why I liked it was you will never in today's age you will never get a love like that. And let me explain myself.
What do you mean? Yeah, you gotta explain yourself.
Because I feel like say if I did that today to like the girl that I love, and they like obviously can tell that I love them.
We took him out ice skating?
No, the proposal.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Like exactly like he did. Bro, that girl
Years
would just,
in the making.
yes, that girl would just make fun of you. I feel like.
It depends.
Not if she truly cared about you.
Yeah. Not
Like,
if
you
you
guys
were
were truly friends, she wouldn't like blast you. Now, if you met this girl
imagine.
if you met this girl like 2 months ago and you're like, I'm in love with you,
Well,
she'd
yeah,
be
of
like, this
course.
guy's crazy. Get out
Of
of
course, I don't know. I just feel like there's no like.
He's saying romance is dead.
I am.
here. You're a nihilist, bruh.
No, I'm not.
All you got to do is take her to a beautiful field in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
You got to have that
Drown her
silk.
sister.
True. you got to have the silk garments
That's her
on.
own fault.
True.
That is her own fault, and that's a bro moment, but that's her own fault.
Yeah, Amy got that FOMO.
True. You just got to look
FOMO.
like Timothée Chalamet. And even still, that might not work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in this scene, too, I like that he knows her so well that whenever she's like, I'm like not willing to give up my independence so quickly.
Mhm.
Like she's telling him, I don't want to get married.
Yeah.
And he goes, no, that's not true. You're going to get married. You're going to have a family and you're going to absolutely love your life.
Yep.
And then he goes, and I'll watch.
Yeah,
And I was like,
that's
"Oh,
heartbreaking.
God.
Yeah, that's heartbreaking.
That's-
That's one of my favorite quotes at the end. He says, "You'll care for somebody and you'll love them tremendously and live and die for them. I know you will. It's your way, your will, and I'll watch." And I was kind of like, "Oh, dang,
Gotta
dude."
be so sad.
That's the knife going.
It's like watching your love vanish.
Yeah,
Or not even vanish, but find love elsewhere.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I could have been that.
yeah.
Gotta be.
Hey, but shout out Laurie, bro. He moves on quick.
well,
Doesn't
how,
let it get him down.
How long has it been?
Who knows?
That's one issue I have with the not
Lori walked away from the conversation singing, "I get knocked down,
but I get up again."
I hate that
He
song.
said, "Good thing she got two
He said,
more
"Good thing her
sisters."
sister is hot."
I would go. I would go for Amy.
Hey, well, you got biased towards Florence.
Yeah, that's true.
No, I like Emma too.
Emma Watson.
Yeah.
I like
Don't
Emma
blame you
Watson.
there.
But-
I put as my last favorite scene the ending, and
I
the
like-
ending. I mean, okay, so tell me if this is the correct understanding. There's like two endings. Is there two endings?
There's like an ending that like gets shown to us that's supposed to be like the book, quote unquote, and then
But it's
like,
not a real ending, right?
I have no idea.
Okay, let me ask you this, because I don't know how the book actually ends. But the movie ends with her. She's finally constructing a novel called Little Women, and it's pretty much about their lives. And she is finally getting it. Like she's working out the details with the same man from the beginning, and they're negotiating the copyright. They're negotiating how much she gets and how much of a risk it is for him to print all the books, and it's a big responsibility. And if it flops, then he loses all the money.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a risk all on him. She ends up keeping the copyright and getting I think it was 6%, 6.6%
Yeah,
profits.
of the net profit.
Right,
Yeah.
which at that time was I'm thinking pretty good, being able to support her whole family. But she negotiates that deal, but one of the only things that he says is she's got to fall in love at the end.
Yeah.
So she goes on to say, no, that's not my character. She chooses nothing. Of course she denies them both.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, what the heck? Because we're getting the scene of, I guess it's like the quote-unquote book ending where the guy from the beginning, Frederick, he comes from New York. He's on his way, where is he going, west or California or something?
Yeah, he got a position to teach in California.
Right. He stops by the house. He gets her address and, meets the whole family. The family loves him. He's going to leave. He's looking for any reason to stay or for her to go with him. But he just can't say it because they kind of had this weird altercation first or the last time they saw each other.
Yeah.
And the whole family pushes her to go and get this man.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very cliched ending where they go to the train and they kiss under the umbrella, and
Yeah.
he's like, I have nothing, my hands are empty.
Yeah.
She's like, it's okay.
Yeah.
And it's a very wholesome ending because we even get to see old crotchety the aunt. What was her name?
Aunt March.
Aunt March.
Yeah.
Passes away
Yeah.
and leaves her the house,
Yeah.
and she changes the house into a school,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a very uplifting tale at the very end
Yeah.
where we get to see all of our protagonist Jo. All of her dreams are finally coming true
Yeah.
after all of the heartbreak and the sacrifice she's done for the family.
Yeah.
I mean, she literally cuts her hair
Yeah.
to
sell
donate it for
yeah.
money.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, I don't know.
Would you?
Yeah, I would. I'd go bald. My brother needed a shirt,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
What was your question?
is that how the book ends?
Yes, the book ends with her marrying Frederick.
She actually chooses.
Yes.
Okay, so they changed it for the movie.
Mm.
She ends with no one,
Yeah.
right?
No,
In the
I
movie-
think
in the
in
movie,
the
I-
movie she ends with Frederick. I
She
think
ends
because
with
he's still
Frederick.
there. He's teaching at the school.
I know, but is that we're
That's where-
looking
where-
at how she ended the book?
We're looking at how she wanted to end the book.
You know?
No,
Do you
but
see what? Do you see
yeah,
my confusion?
I see your confusion.
Because
she ends the book. I think she does make the change and ends the book with the happy ending.
But is that how
But
her life
I think that's
changed?
also how her life is
Okay.
going as well.
Okay, so the book is a complete reflection of her decisions.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Because I was curious because she in that dialogue she says, "No,
Yeah.
She turns them all
Which-
down.
Yeah, which and now I'm thinking of it could be confusing because like, is Joe or Saoirse Ronan plays Joe March, but is she also actually playing Louisa May Alcott?
Yeah, because
She's the writer of the book, and she also gets
She doesn't use
portrayed
her
as the
name.
writer of the book.
yeah, I don't know.
So does she?
Well, because nobody knows it's her story. Because Louisa
Louisa May Alcott.
she doesn't use her name.
So that's a surname.
Yes,
Like actually, factually, that's a surname.
I'm pretty sure. She even
'Cause
says
then
it.
why would she negotiate for the copyright under a surname and all that stuff? Because then anyone could be like, "Oh, I'm Louisa May Alcott,"
No, I think that's her actual name. That's got to be her name.
and then maybe she just like created characters based off her experience or something
Yeah,
like that. I'm not sure.
dude, this is like so above my pay grade.
Yeah,
but
this
that's
is Matrix level.
Nah, it
Type.
says Louisa May Alcott wrote Little Women.
Okay, so then she did use her real name.
Yes.
So then, in all actuality, Saoirse Ronan plays Louisa May Alcott and Joe March.
Yes.
Okay.
that's weird.
Yeah.
Is that true?
I mean, yeah, you think about it, the entire time she's talking about writing a book and selling it and everything like that. So, I mean, maybe you could even think about like the book selling scenes and everything like that as not even being like canon to Little Women and being like not part of the story. Like that's all made up.
I don't know. Alcott, did she write the book with her in mind, or she wrote the book? Like, is it fictional stories?
I don't know. You gotta ask him.
Did the Little Women happen in Louisa May Alcott's
Yes.
life.
It's yes.
and then
It's
she just changed the
autobiographical?
name
Yes.
of Joe March?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So here we go. Okay. So the story is Joe March writing the book of her life. It doesn't have to be.
I know someone
Alcott.
listening. This is just screaming.
Yeah,
at
they're
us
probably
in the
like,
background. They're like,
Dude,
You
it's
I apologize.
Yeah.
I'm trying to work through it. That's the book, man. That's the movie.
yeah.
You wanna-
Best quotes?
Yeah, let's move on to best quotes.
Go ahead. Take it off first. Because I didn't really take that many notes. I'm
Okay,
not gonna lie.
I'll start with the first one. Amy telling freaking Lori when he's like drunk and all that. She goes on this whole long tirade about like, I'd never be in your position if I got dumped, pretty much. And she tells him, I don't remember exactly what he says, but she says, "No, I'd be respected if I couldn't be loved."
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, she's killed him.
She kills him.
She
Yeah.
roasts him alive."
Yeah.
She is a savage.
Yeah. I have another one from her, actually. She says something to the effect of, I want to be great or nothing. And she says that to Lori, I think, in her marriage monologue scene. Yeah. Then my last one is from Joe, and it's towards the end of the movie where she says, "Women, they have minds and they have souls as well as just hearts, and they've got ambition and they've got talent as well as just beauty. I'm so sick of people saying that love is just all a woman is fit for."
Mm. And she even goes on to say like, all that's true, but I'm so lonely.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so freaking lonely.
Yeah.
Which I thought was powerful. I have one with the old, crotchety old Aunt March.
Meryl
says-
Streep.
Yeah, Meryl Streep. She says it's possible to be right and foolish, which I thought was a little wise from
Yeah.
her. I just love her. She freaking grills that whole family for making stupid decisions because she's always like, "You gotta marry rich. That's the only way you can succeed in this life."
Yeah.
And of course, nobody does it except Amy is the only one with potential to do it.
Yeah.
And-
She's like, "I'm giving Amy the only opportunity because she's the only sane one in this family."
And freaking Meg gets married to this man who's got nothing.
Yeah, broke teacher.
Yeah, this broke teacher, and she's like,
But
She's
but
already a
love
lost
is
cause.
more than that.
yeah, true.
Yeah, but she be struggling, and she's like, "I don't want to be poor.
Yeah, that's part of her character arc slightly.
I want to be rich and have nice things."
Dude.
But that's because they're like
It's like,
instilled
be
that.
grateful. Be grateful for what you got.
It's hard when you got friends that are dropping bags in front of your knees.
Yeah, I know, and that's the thing is like that's her
That
whole.
friend is trash.
that's
Tell me
her-
that friend's
yeah,
not
that friend
trash.
is trash to be like.
She's like, "Oh, go into debt for this silk.
Yeah,
It's not even a dress yet."
yeah.
Oh,
It's $50 for the fabric.
I'd
And
be
you
like,
gotta pay
"All right, you
more
want me
money
to get it so
it."
much? Pay half."
Yeah,
That's what I'd
Pay
say.
the other half.
Yeah.
yeah.
You said
What?
nothing.
You got some dirt.
Well, hit us with the next best quote that you got.
I didn't write any.
Okay.
I struggled this week.
Okay. If that's it for the best quotes, let's get into some bro moments then.
Yes.
There
My
is quite
first
a few
one?
moments.
Is Joe burning Meg's hair off?
Joe burning Meg's hair off.
Yeah, she's like getting ready for the dance
Oh, with
thing.
the curling iron.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
she straight leaves it on there too long and pulls off a big old chunk of hair.
I've done that before.
She's like, oh yeah, this is how it's supposed to go. And then she pulls it. And she just,
She's all, oh, puts it off, and then Meg's all,
you
No, I've done that
sullied
before.
me.
yeah.
That it smells so bad, bro.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it does.
My next bro moment from that is Frederick's telling Joe Marsh that her writing sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He straight up
that's
says,
so funny to me.
I don't like these.
Yeah, his bluntness is just hilarious. And
Yeah.
he's like,
So-
you wrote these, and she's all, yeah. He's all, I do not like them.
I-
like,
They suck.
I'd be torn, bruh.
he's like, I think they are not good. And she's
Yeah.
all like, she takes it as like an attack on her personality, and
And
it's not. Like, he's really doing it to like try to make her
Yeah.
better. And he's like, has no one ever talked to you like this? Like, has no one ever been this blunt with you?
right.
You know, you need to be able to accept this criticism to be better. I truly do think you're talented, but it's just not in this area. I think maybe you try something different and you could be really good at it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah,
But she does is like, I'll never speak to you again. And then, takes her stuff
I
and
don't know. If
storms off.
somebody told me some pretty blunt stuff, I'd be
Well,
pretty upset.
here's the
Well,
thing. Here's
you know what
what.
they say about the truth?
Truth hurts.
No, the truth will set you free, but first it'll piss you off.
I've never heard that.
Well, now you have.
Write it down. Get it tattooed. I'm saying. I think this is where the film failed, pretty much, because it's not like, from what I've understood, people talking about. I think in the book, like, they confide in each other so much more, and she looks up to him and respects him. Like, they're equals
Yeah.
in regards to intelligence and writing. I mean, they're both teachers at the top of their game where they're at,
Yeah.
and they like have this like trust and like, I don't want to say love, but like this relationship with each other. So it allows him space to tell him these things, or to tell her criticisms, right?
Yeah.
And here it's just like this random man they shared some glances with. Your writing sucks.
Yeah.
Like, of course, he comes off as really like holier than thou, pompous.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, he's got the toppest of hi hats.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's supposed to be like that. I really, because I see what you're saying, where it's more of like, we're talking to each other critically so we can hone our craft, or so we can hone you, because you really do have talent.
Mm-hmm.
But what you're writing is not where you should be focusing.
Yeah.
You should be focusing on other things.
Yeah.
And, you can only say that and not offend someone out of love.
Yeah.
And I don't think they've established that correctly from the season. Because when he says, like, her writing sucks, I'm just sitting there going, what? Oh,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
That-
Well, what they say is a jack of all trades is a master of none.
Yeah. But still
Yeah.
always better than a master of one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Next one, dude. Freaking Amy burning her novel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell me that's not the most, like,
Yeah. That's the most
fighting?
That's
vindictive thing. Like the most.
all
Like-
because they didn't take her to this freaking theater.
Yeah.
Tell me that's not like,
That's
pissed.
FOMO.
No,
dude.
I would swing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be like ripping her heart
Well, she
out.
does swing.
She does.
Yeah,
She
but
gets
I'm
her on the floor and the smacking her.
not as hard as she deserves to be hit.
Yeah.
That's
And
like,
the mom right afterwards is like, don't go to bed angry. Forgive her.
Yeah.
Like 30 minutes after she burned her novel she's been like dying for.
Yeah.
Freaking
leave
that mom.
Laura Dern alone, dude.
Yeah.
Laura Dern's the...
My next one is immediately after that, Amy falling in the lake.
Yeah.
Por pendeja.
Yeah.
She's...
But Joe has a change of heart and tries to save her sister.
Yeah.
I mean, what
Despite
else do
being
you
mad at her.
do?
I mean, you got to save her,
If
but
I'm
it's like...
pissed off, I'm not gonna. I'll be pissed off at you, but I'm not gonna let you die because I'm pissed off
You're
at
not
you.
gonna high nose me and let me drown.
Imagine just be like,
Yeah.
well, you burned my novel.
Yeah. You said you
I'll-
burned my novel. Now freeze.
Die. I'll write about you. That'd be funny. My last one, seeing Bob Odenkirk as the dad, finally showing up, because all the while he's like doing war efforts.
Oh yeah.
So we don't know who he is. All the daughters are missing him, and wife's having a hard time without him,
Mhm.
and then he finally shows up for Meg's wedding, I think.
No, he showed
No,
up
he
for
showed up
Christmas.
Oh, for Christmas. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Lori presents him.
Okay. Yeah, I saw Bob, and I was like, what
Yeah.
the heck?
Yeah.
I was kind of nervous to see
The lawyer.
how you guys felt because I know you guys had just are watching like Better Call Saul and stuff like that.
I think it's just a strange pick to have him
Yeah.
like come out of nowhere.
Do we have any more bro moments?
Yeah, I've
Yes.
got some.
Ah.
First off, Lori trashing Meg when she goes to like that school to like be a lady. You know what I'm talking about? And she like dresses in the pink and goes by Daisy.
Yeah. He sure
Yeah.
says,
Dude,
your dress is like, I
he's
don't like
he's
your
all,
dress.
He's like, your dress is ugly. And he's like, and would Joe like you calling yourself Daisy? And she does it under the disguise of like, I just wanted to be different for one
No,
day.
and
Like,
that's what I actually don't like it because, bro, if I saw you guys go to a party and be like, oh, yeah, I'm just playing a different part and my
my
name
name's
is freaking-
Ronaldo now.
If someone trying to call me something else, I'd be like, oh, you're talking to the wrong person.
That's what I'm
bro.
saying.
Yeah.
Call me by my name or don't call me at all.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was dying laughing at Lori just being like, I don't think you look good. And,
Didn't she?
and she was like, you're the rudest boy I've ever met. And I was just dying laughing at him just being like, yeah, you're being trash right now. And I'm going to call you on your crap.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny.
Also,
Also, Joe cutting her hair for money.
yeah, that's pretty big.
That's a good one.
Amy saying no to Fred was a bro moment for me.
Her, denying his proposal.
And then lastly, Aunt March asking Amy to go to Europe instead of Joe.
That's the biggest.
That was
Like,
my next one.
Yeah.
jab in the freaking side
Yeah.
from her because she promises.
Yeah.
No, I don't think she promises.
She does.
said-
She tells her if you continue.
Yeah,
here,
if you continue to read to me and keep your head on straight, then we'll go to Europe.
Yeah, but maybe she didn't keep her hair on straight.
She definitely didn't.
Oh.
And we didn't even talk about Beth dying.
No,
Yeah.
I was about to say Beth dying right now. That's where I cried.
That's pretty insane.
Yeah.
I mean, literally the fourth
It's
sister.
just hay fever.
Just-
No, scarlet fever. The
yeah, Scarlet Fever. Yeah.
the
Dude, seeing
Why'd
that.
you- what? Sing what?
I was saying, seeing that family like freaking in rags.
yeah.
I
That's
thought you
pretty
said
rough.
sing. 'Cause I was like, I want to hear you sing.
Seeing that family.
My last one is Lori revealing that he and Amy are married, and then she calls him my lord.
Yeah, I don't know. Is that you think that's like real?
I
Or
was-
is
Yeah,
this
yeah,
a
yeah.
joke?
they're-
I was laughing at that,
in England.
You have to be like.
but I mean they're American, so like they only were in London for what, a month or two.
I don't even know.
You're not gonna pick up their whole vernacular in a month and be like, oh yeah, call him my lord. No.
Well, that's like
It's like the
strictly
same
for
thing as, like-
royalty, isn't it?
I was thinking it's like the same thing as calling him like daddy.
No, really?
Yeah, because he like smirks when he says it, and she's like, you're the only. He says like, you're the only one to have ever called me Teddy, and then she says, what does she call you? And he goes, my lord, and like smirks. So I immediately think it's like that type of thing.
Like okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then she has to go and get her note
yeah.
that she like poured her heart out for him out of the box to rip it up.
Yeah,
What would you done if he would have got it? Because that was in my head as well.
yeah.
If he got it, that
Also-
would be awkward as hell.
Freaking Joe being a litter bug, and ripping up that thing and throwing it in the river.
Yeah,
Dude,
500
Oh,
fine.
destroying the
gosh.
ozone.
Yep.
Oh my gosh! They just, dude, the Civil War just happened.
Yeah, there's bodies on bodies everywhere. Wait for those to decompose a little bit before you.
These
Before you add more.
Any other bro moments?
Dudes are dirty.
No.
Okay. Let's get into some facts with the bros.
Yeah, I'll hit you with the budget real quick.
we got him choked up over there.
I was young.
He's all
sorry.
Beth.
He's thinking about all the dead bodies. Getting flashbacks. Go ahead, budget man.
So the budget to make this movie was $40 million. For opening weekend, it made $16.7 million. U.S. and Canada made $108.1 million,
Jeez.
and gross worldwide made $218.8 million.
Jeez.
Yeah,
People love their little women.
very successful.
They are
Yeah,
little.
I said today at work, because I love this movie, and my coworker was like, "Oh, what movie are you watching?" I said, "Oh, Little Women." And she was like, "Oh, I love that movie." And I said, "Yeah, I love Little Women." And a customer looked at me,
That's
and I was
rough.
like, "I'm talking about a movie."
Yeah, you got to end it with "I love Little Women" 2019.
By Greta Gerwig.
I have down here, this movie was nominated for some Oscars, but it did win for Best Costume Design. And I'd also had written down here that Greta Gerwig was 6 months pregnant with her first child when filming had ended for the film, as she went into labor 48 hours after turning in her rough edit.
Wow.
Yeah, she hid her pregnancy during filming so well that nobody on set knew that she was even pregnant.
Wow.
How would you hide that sometimes?
Wear overalls,
Yeah,
or
something.
baggy aprons or something. Who
Yeah.
knows? I had one about Florence Pugh. She had just finished filming the movie Midsummer, which came out in 2019. A few days prior to when she was in this movie, she said that getting to play Amy after making such a stressful and anxiety-inducing movie was her version of therapy.
I can see that, man.
Honestly,
Because
though,
Midsummer is like,
Midsummer's a
gosh,
wild
yeah.
movie.
it's rough to get through.
Yeah.
So I imagine this being like,
I remember the
A
first
breath
time
of
I
fresh air,
watched
for
it.
sure.
I just have a lovely family.
Yeah. Yeah, the hammer.
You're going,
Yeah, dude.
yeah,
No, and then The Rock.
Oh, yeah.
there's plenty of
Oh my! And then
rated R scenes there.
I actually have a fact in regards to Amy's speech about marriage. It wasn't in the initial script, actually, but it was suggested by Meryl Streep. After working and talking with Greta Gerwig, Streep had asserted that there needed to be a moment in the movie that gave modern audiences the opportunity to understand the true powerlessness of women in that period. And not only could they not vote or work, but through marriage they would lose ownership of their money, property, and their children. According to Florence Pugh, the lines were given to her a few minutes before they were due to shoot the scene, and they were handwritten on a piece of scrap paper.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Meryl Streep's a goat.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah. My other one here actually is in regards to Emma Watson taking the role of Meg. She actually took the role from Emma Stone, who became unavailable due to scheduling conflicts with the movie that she was promoting called The Favorite, which came out in 2018. And coincidentally, Emma Stone previously took over the role of Mia in La La Land after Emma Watson dropped out of the project due to the commitment she had already had for Belle in Beauty and the Beast.
It was going to be Emma Watson?
Yep.
What?
Yeah, that blows my mind too because Emma Stone is
Kills it.
Yeah,
Emma
she kills it.
Watson
She
and Ryan
belongs there.
Gosling.
It's like, it almost is like that role was
was meant for her. Almost.
meant for, like, written for her.
Yeah, Emma Watson was.
What's
was
up with
signed
the
on
Emmas,
before.
man?
Yeah, serious.
That's insane.
Next thing you know, Emma Roberts going to be in the mix too.
Dude,
Yeah.
man.
You guys stole my quotes. Not my quotes, my facts. I had to both of those.
Yep, that's all I've got.
Last one I have here, Saoirse Ronan and Florence Pugh had been looking forward to filming the fight scene between Joe and Amy before it actually happened. And just before they started to shoot, Florence Pugh eagerly gave Ronan permission to slap her in the face for the scene. So it's real whenever
lay
you watch
into
her.
her?
Yeah, it's real whenever you watch them fight.
That's good.
Yeah. All right, what didn't work for this movie?
Go ahead.
I did not like. I'm really disappointed at how little I cared for Beth and Meg.
Mm.
I think their characters were really shallow, and they were not in it as much as I thought
Yeah.
they would be. I mean, they were kind of like, we get to see like the beginnings of their character, and then we get to see the ending of their character, and it's just like I missed everything.
Yeah.
So I no longer care for these characters. I mean, truly, the only one I truly cared about was a little bit of Joe, but I found her frustrating, and Amy,
Yeah.
which I really enjoyed. I didn't like her as a little kid,
Yeah.
and how she tries to make her voice like a kid,
Yeah.
and yet she still sounds like a 30, 25-year-old girl or woman.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. The
I
only
just
thing
don't
to
buy
like,
it.
Yeah, the only thing to denote that she's younger too is that she has bangs. Like that's it. I have to agree. I just don't think there's much character depth for really almost any of the characters. We don't go through any arcs with anyone, and I think that could be a flaw of how the movie is presented. I also am not a big fan of how much it jumps between past and present.
Right.
I think if the movie was told linearly, then I would probably find myself caring for more of the characters because I get to actually watch development that happens over time.
Yeah, we don't
I'm
just
not constantly
skip.
I'm not constantly skipping back and forth between past and present the entire time.
And that is actually something that I had down was I didn't like the jumps quite as much. Because there is quite a few of them. I feel like it's one every other minute or 2 minutes. And I do agree with you with the part of Beth not being in the movie. I feel like she only had like 5 minutes tops in total screen time.
So whenever her death scene comes, I feel nothing for her.
You know what I really...
I get... Go ahead, actually.
I'm just going to... What I really didn't like about that is like, it's cold out. So she always got these rosy cheeks. So when she's like, quote unquote, sick, she doesn't really look sick.
Yeah.
She doesn't look like she's dying on
she's
a
just
deathbed.
in the bed going...
Like, you know what I mean? So I'm not really convinced that she's dying. We're just getting told that she's got a fever, but she doesn't look it.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at her and she's like, so in the present she's sick, but we always see her, she was sick once before, but she was playing piano all this time, and it just, I have no connection to Beth at all. So when she dies and passes away, I'm like, I mean, it's I can empathize a little bit because it sucks to lose a sister, but it's like I have no connection, so I'm not gonna feel what they're feeling because I had nothing to connect her to me.
Yeah.
And it was really hard because she didn't look sick at all. Yeah. Like, especially the second go around when she's at the beach, she just looked a little cold.
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah,
how are you? Like, I get that you're dying, but you should look pale and like malnourished,
snotty.
You know, you should have some characteristics of like you're about to die. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, me and empath realizing everybody's sad. That's it.
And the part that actually makes me sad is, for me, was the thought of losing like one of my siblings or even you guys. Like I would do everything that Joe did for Beth, for any one of my siblings and any one of you guys.
Right.
Yeah.
And my problem is I just get to thinking about things, and that sad scene comes, I'm like, man, if Nick was dying, bro, I'd do the same thing.
But see, the fact that you have to like think about the relationships you have in order to feel emotion.
Yeah.
Like, from what the movie presents me,
you should be able to feel that emotion for the character.
Yeah, I should be like, holy crap, Beth, she's such a pivotal character. This is going to drastically impact this whole family. Like, look at all the things we've witnessed her do. Look at how important she is to the family, how she ties everything all together.
Yeah.
And yet, I feel like all of that's overlooked.
Yeah. The only thing now is just we don't get to hear piano.
Yeah. And it's just like, it's, you know, it's hard. It's really hard to emphasize.
Yeah.
Or
I felt that way a lot with Joe too, and like she's supposed to be the main character of the film, but like throughout the entirety of the film, I just feel like all the characters here are just very one-dimensional, and they just are like, this is the way they are, and that's the way they're going to be their entire lives. Right. Joe is going to be this independent woman who doesn't change for anybody. And you know, Joe, like, she goes through no visible arc. So then at the end of the film, whenever she's just like, I want to be loved, I'm like, well, where did this come from? You never showed us any other signs that you wanted this throughout the entirety of the film. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, now you want it. And then the guy, Frederick, comes, and as far as we know, you've had 3 interactions with him.
Talking about and out of nowhere.
Yeah, he comes in out of nowhere and is like, hey, I'm just going to pop in. And then they're like, you love him.
The whole family.
And she's like, yeah, I do.
That's what I hate.
It just makes no sense.
I feel like if there were an arc to be had, it would have been she's finally getting to choose who she loves, choose that she's going to settle down, choose the family that she always thought she wasn't going to have.
Yeah.
And this guy comes, and there might have been a spark there, and that's all good, but he leaves, and the whole family is like pressuring
let him
her
walk out there in the rain?
Pushing her to make this decision. I was like, no, the whole point is her to have her agency.
Yeah.
And her willing to give up the independence she so grasped.
Yeah.
And I was like, why are they doing this? Why are they showing it like this?
Yeah.
It's like completely like destroying her character a little bit, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because now she is not becoming this independent woman. She is almost letting people make her letting people make her choices for her.
It's what it felt like.
Yeah.
It really is what it felt like. I mean, the whole family was like, "You love her. You love him. Go after him. Go get him. We'll take you. Get on the carriage. Put your shoes on."
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay,
where
but
did this come from?
literally,
Like-
literally, freaking Marmee. Whenever she's talking to her about, if Lori asked you, what would you do? And she goes, "What, do you love him?" And she goes, "Oh, I just want to be loved." And she goes, "Well, it's not the same thing." Like
Yeah.
she's saying, you have to find the right person.
Yeah.
You have to do all this, but it has to be you, and you have to know in your decision.
Yeah.
And here it's like, you love him. Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, okay.
Yeah.
You know, it was
Yeah.
just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I hate that you did that.
I don't know. I get a little too hyped.
I think other than that, the only other thing that doesn't work for me is just the film is just, it's not gripping to me. It's not something I'm going to go out of my way to return to or rewatch. I just don't. I'm not going to on a Saturday morning be like, you know what I want to watch? Little Women. It's just, I don't know. It's just not particularly gripping to me. I watched it and I really did sit down with the objective mind to be able to be like, I want to absorb everything this film has to offer me, which I think I did. And yeah, I don't know. It's just not gripping to me. It's not for me, I guess. So
Very fair.
that's it.
That's it for me as well. Do you have anything?
What did work?
I have a lot that did work.
Okay, let's hear it.
First and foremost, I love this movie. I know it may not look. I truly do. It just has a special spot in my heart. And I talk about this movie quite often. You guys know that.
Yeah.
And I think for the first thing that I love this movie is it actually made me want to go read a book. When I found out it was from a book, I wanted to read the book. And because I enjoyed the theater experience of this movie, when I watched it in theaters, I cried. I don't know. I loved it. I've never had a theatrical experience like this one, which sounds weird and crazy, because I went to Endgame and I went to that, like, wasn't as good as this one.
Very
I know
interesting.
it sounds weird. But the first thing that I love about this movie is how beautiful it is.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's undeniably. It's gorgeous.
Cinematography is
It's
breathtaking.
There's so many colors. It reminds me, I don't know, sometimes I'm on nature side of TikTok, and you just get like random pictures of nature, and that's what I feel like this is.
Yeah.
Dude, the
The
beach
set design?
the beach scene
Yeah.
when you see like the sand slowly.
Yeah.
I love that.
I'm thinking of like specifically the houses
Yes.
and like the forests that surround the houses and how the seasons change throughout the film. And it was like nice oranges and yellows when autumn comes, and
Yeah.
those like beautiful muted greens whenever Christmas is here. Like it's gorgeous. There's tons of eye candy here in the film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the writing is also pretty spot on.
Okay.
I like the dialogue between characters, especially with Lori and Joe, Lori and Amy, even some of the things that Marmee has to say. I think the writing has some real depth, and the flow of dialogue I think is also good too. Like it kept me engaged when the just them talking with each other. I think some of those scenes I was like, wow, the way that this dialogue is flowing back and forth, I'm really enjoying this.
Yeah.
And it's got to do with the writing.
Yeah. I think I'd highlight the acting.
Mm-hmm.
I think the acting is really great here. Saoirse, you have a stacked cast.
Oh yeah.
You've got Saoirse Ronan, Florence Pugh, Emma Watson, Timothy Chalamet, Laura Dern, Meryl Streep. Like, it's a
So
A-list cast, and there are tons of people who can pull their weight whenever it comes to portraying something on screen. Also, I have to highlight the directing as well. I think Greta Gerwig really executes her vision for the film extremely well, and I have to say I'm only more excited to see what she brings to the table when it comes to direction and writing. More after watching this, and yeah, really excited to see what she brings to the table.
All right.
I also love the soundtrack for this movie. There's
Yeah, it's beautiful.
some of them when I'm at work I'll put on specifically from this movie.
It's a lot of classical piano
Mm-hmm.
and strings and all that
Yes.
stuff.
Well, for
Yeah.
sure.
What else worked?
For me, I think this movie is really rewatchable.
Okay.
I probably watch it once or twice a year.
Okay. Well, you consider this a Christmas film, right?
For some reason, I feel like it's a Christmas film. I watched it on Christmas.
Yeah. I think it even was released.
Yeah, I mean,
December
Christmas.
25th. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it was.
I watched it on Christmas. Like,
well, yeah, 2 Christmases happen in the movie too, I believe.
You're
So.
right.
so it just, I don't know, it has a special spot in my heart. I always tell people to watch it too. I even told you guys to watch it, and I knew coming to it. I knew Isaiah might not liked it.
I tried.
No, and I respect you. I 100% respect you. For that.
I when I went into it, I was like, I need to watch this with the
we talked
critique
about this
mind frame, and not what my previous
yeah.
Judgments of the film are. I need to be able to take this in as it is.
Right. I think I really like that it was, how do I word this? Like simple, almost like not really over exaggerated in regards to like, big plot details. It's really like grounded in.
It's a coming of age story.
It really is, yeah. And it's something that
It's a
this
slice
family
of
would
life.
go through.
Yeah.
And it's not like, oh, they're going to war. And, it's not like this very dramatic, like fighting for justice. It's like these very like subtle things that they had to work through.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I think that really worked for its favor.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the whole, the whole idea of why her writing was trash, because she would write about like these gory, gruesome details and these like very sensationalized stories that would be for the money, where that's all well and good, but there's real true money into things that are like very hard, very simple, close to home, mundane things that there's money there because nobody talks about it.
Yeah.
It's truth there that nobody talks about. So there's plenty of to mine there. And I think not only is that throughout the film, it's just like as in like a plot detail, but it's also like that's really how the film is.
Yeah.
It's just a simple, family drama.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed that.
Yeah. What else?
That's it for me.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Who wins this film? I say Florence.
Yeah.
I said Florence.
Florence Pugh.
Specifically, I love her. I mean, I love her out of this movie. I can marry her right now. if she proposed to me. And I put her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Florence
Pugh for
Florence
sure.
Pugh.
All right. What are some themes for this movie?
I straight up put wrong place, wrong time
Yeah.
in regards to Joe March.
Yeah, definitely. I'd put the struggle between growth and obligation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I wrote that with Joe in mind, and how she has an obligation to care for her family, and like continues to put herself on the back burner, and sells her hair, writes trash stories to help her family and all this stuff, and continues to stunt her growth so that way she can help her family, the people that she's obligated to.
Right.
And finding the balance between personal growth and providing for the things that you're obligated to can be a really tough balance.
Right.
And I think this film portrays that pretty well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I would even say too, just because you want to be independent doesn't mean you have to be single
Yeah.
and alone.
Okay.
There's a way to find someone that doesn't like domineer over you but balances you out.
Mm-hmm.
And I had seen someone just like explain why it wouldn't have worked if she chose Lori, because she's very like brash and bombastic, and it gets the best of her a lot of the times, and he goes along with that. He would add to the fire.
Yeah.
Whereas she needs someone to kind of help balance her out,
Yeah.
to hone her, similar to what Frederick would have done.
Yeah.
To give her the criticism where it needs, and to pull her back a little bit. But that's only to increase her talent. That's only to bolster herself,
Yeah.
rather than being like, I am domineering over you. No, it's like more of like, I want to highlight the best of you.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good theme in this film, because everyone loves their independence. It's something that we, it's our freedom,
Yeah.
right? But that doesn't mean you have to be alone.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you have to like seclude yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good theme to take away.
For sure.
The only thing that I put down was growth. I feel like I'm not trying to copy you. Growth is literally the only thing I put down because everybody needed to grow in some way, shape, or form. And of course, Joe needed to grow to find how what she really wanted in life. For Meg, she needed to grow up realizing that she doesn't need everything under the sky. She doesn't need to have these razzle dazzle like dresses and bells and whistles with all that. Amy needed to grow up and realize that she's not going to be this famous painter. Obviously, Rebecca's rip.
Yeah.
She grew down.
She grew.
She grew.
It go
daisies.
down.
What do they say? Pushing daisies.
Yeah.
So she did grow.
She's counting worms.
Yeah.
Counting worms.
Oh, we're bad. We're terrible.
So we all have room for growth.
Fair.
Okay. All right. If that's it for the themes, what do we rate in this movie?
You
I'm going to
go.
give this one a 6.
Okay. I'm going with a 7.
I give it a 9.
Oh.
Okay.
I love this movie.
Nice. All right.
All right. Well, thank you guys for sticking all the way to the end. We appreciate you. As always, you can always reach us through our episode descriptions. We have all of our methods of contact there, whether that be our Instagram, our Letterboxd accounts, or our email. You can get in contact with us that way, or you can leave us a like and a comment on the YouTube videos, as well as subscribing to the YouTube channel. That helps, and it also gets you guys in the loop for all the videos that we post. If you aren't listening on YouTube, we recommend that you follow us on the audio platforms that we post the podcast on, like Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, all that stuff. And leave us a rate and review over there and let us know what you guys are thinking. We appreciate your guys' feedback, and we've definitely noticed a lot of growth recently on the YouTube channel, which has been awesome. So we really appreciate you guys for continuing to, support us there and getting involved and sharing your thoughts and letting us know how we can make things better, what you guys think of the film as well, and just building us up. It's really appreciated, and showing your guys' support there by through those mediums really does let us know that you're liking our stuff, and it gives us encouragement. So we appreciate you guys. As always, we're going to reveal the pick for next week, which is my pick, and this week we're getting into we're starting our Christmas films for the month of December. We started off with Little Women, and it's my pick next, and we're going to be doing a movie called Elf.
Classic.
Yeah. I like this movie. I really enjoy it. It's a fun watch. I feel like it's kind of strange thinking that this movie is a classic, being that it came out in 2003.
Yeah, 2003.
But now that I think about it, like, everyone knows this movie.
Everyone.
And everyone loves it. Everyone is always, when Christmas time comes around, they're either quoting it, or they've got a T-shirt with Buddy the Elf on it,
right.
Or, they're talking about making spaghetti for breakfast with like syrup and freaking M&Ms and pretzels and all this stuff, and like it's just a ton of stuff that is super memorable about this movie, right. And I think it's just a great holiday film. So
for sure,
I'm excited to dive into that with you guys. It is streaming currently on HBO Max.
Nice,
awesome. So if you have that platform, definitely go check it out. If you own the movie, pop it in. Check it out and tune in next week to hear what we have to say about Elf.
It'll be my second time watching it.
Only your second?
I didn't watch it first time until 2 years ago.
Okay.
Oh, wow. I watched this movie.
Yeah, I watched it a lot. This movie is a classic.
Yeah. So many times.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, tune back in next week to hear what we have to say about Elf. As always, this has been the Film Bros Podcast. Thank you, and good night.
Good night.
Good night.